Hey guys, it's Shane here from Tank Owner Miniatures, and today we're going through some of the changes the new balanced data slate has made for 10th edition. Now this is a very intense update. There's a lot of changes here, but today we're just going through what's going to affect our tanks. What's going to make the difference there. So going through, let's just scroll down to what applies to us and our tank-heavy armies. Now, one of the main additions is we're now looking at the pivot rules. I feel this is probably a good thing. Like, it makes a lot of things more simple if you just have this extra 2 inches that it sort of removes from your movement. So, yeah, it just really clears things up. Because as you can see the example there, I mean, a straight line is a straight line, you know, that's simple enough. Turning the model, you know, you could always sort of play it to your advantage, or, you know, sort of talk as if you're moving the vehicle just, like, it's just going to move sideways. So, yeah, I think now it really sort of clears things up. I do think this is a good thing thematically wise. You know, it's just going to help us out a lot. And of course, the next big change to our tanks is the way tank shock works. Now it's based on the toughness of the vehicle rather than the strength of one of its weapons. So this is a lot easier because, of course, before you had to take the strength, and then if it was higher than the toughness, you'd have to add 2. So it was a bit more to work out. So this makes a lot more sense. Just having toughness, you know, deals the damage. You slam into it. So I'm really happy with that. It does actually mean for a lot of the larger ones, you know, you're getting a lot more dice, while this smaller stuff, you're really not. Because you're having the like the Paragon engines with the War Mace, you know, tank shocking with all that. It seemed pretty excessive. Like, you're just making an attack at that point. You just get to attack twice, essentially. So it didn't feel very thematic. And of course, the other real big change is the change to indirect fire. So hit rolls of 1 to 3 always fail now. So this is really going to hurt a lot of artillery pieces. So, I mean, it's definitely fair. Like, being able to accurately hit something you can't see, fair enough. So, I think it's really going to change people's dependency on artillery and stuff. You definitely want to, you know, be more mobile. You know, a lot of weapons, especially on tanks, because tanks, you know, whirlwinds and stuff, yeah, they're better if they sit still, but, you know, you should be able to just move them around to actually get line of sight. That's going to help a lot. So you don't incentivize yourself to standing still anymore. You want to be actively trying to get these lines of sight. So it makes the game a lot more interesting and a lot more interactive. So overall, I think this is probably a good thing. It's definitely going to make the game a lot more fun. So with those rules out of the way, those are the big major rules that really affect tanks. You're not really going to see much other effects. We look down to how they've fixed the Adeptus Mechanicus, because of course their other rule was not great, where it affected the armor. I'm pretty sure it was how much armor penetration certain weapons had based upon where they were. Now it's just a simple increased ranged ballistic skill. So that's really good. I like this a lot. It's just give things heavy, and all your tanks are gonna be hitting on 3s as a base if you stay in the Product Imperative. So that's going to be really good. And they fixed a lot of weapons here. Now, a lot of it did go up in price. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as you can see, so as I mentioned earlier, the Ferromite Cannon, that's pretty much just a las cannon. I always said it's just a 3-shot las cannon. Now it actually is, with its +1 to damage. So that's, you know, it keeps things on the same sort of level. And the Dune Crawler has had a massive glow up here. So as you can see, the Eradication Beamer, that used to be very swing. I know if you watched my battle report the actual tournament report, we brought this guy, and the Eradication Beamer, it's a good weapon, But yeah, having D6 shots was very swing. Now it's 2D3. Much better. This is going to be great at taking out your Space Marines, lighter vehicles and stuff like that. This is pretty strong again. The Neuron Laser, getting the extra attack and getting the extra damage point, that's pretty devastating. This is really going to do some damage against a lot of things, so that's pretty good. Like I said before, you know, why bring the Neuron Laser when you sort of have the Ferromite Cannon? Now it's sort of, this has sort of a place that puts it above the Ferromite Cannon, so yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now the Heavy Phosphor Blaster, this is a great one, because this went from 4 attacks to 12 attacks. Before, it was the worst weapon in the whole army, pretty much. It was so pointless, so this is where it should be. This can really clear out a horde of a lot of stuff. Twin linked, and this is going to be able to do some real damage to a lot of stuff, because yeah, being twin linked as well, and you know, ignoring cover. So it's, yeah, you look at it at AP1, that's, you know, that's okay, but it ignores cover. So Space Marines are only going to get a 4-up save mostly, and yeah, you're going to be able to take out a lot of smaller infantry as well as a lot of heavy infantry with this weapon, so it's very much worth taking now. And the next big change is for guard armies, Astra Militarum. So they changed the way Born Soldiers worked. This was interesting, so you don't have to hold still anymore, but lethal hit only applies, you know, vehicles against vehicles and infantry against infantry. It's very thematic, I feel, because, you know, that's what they're supposed to be doing. Tanks are supposed to be anti-tank, you know, men are supposed to be fighting men equivalents, so yeah, I feel this is alright. And like, yeah, a tank, maybe it should be, you know, just as good as hitting men as it is shooting sort of vehicles, but you've already got pretty high strength weapons with your tank sort of weapons, so having lethal hits, you know, it isn't that vital. Having lethal hits against other tanks, that can be pretty important. So yeah, you're pretty much always going to be wounding pretty reliably with a tank against a vehicle. I mean, a tank against a non-vehicle, so the lethal hits wasn't, you know, that important. And of course, yeah, being able to, having infantry be able to wound, like lethal hitting with a las gun, like, oh, I rolled a 6, I'm instantly wounding like a Land Raider. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, so this feels a lot more thematic. This is pretty good. I like this. Alright, so let's look at some new points. Let's see the changes there to our tanks. What you're going to see is most of them, if not all of them, pretty much just went up like 10 points. Like Castigator went up 10. The Exorcist going up. I think it's only 10 points. The Emoluate is funny because it actually was 115 before, then it went down in the Codex, and then went back up to what it was. So that's really smart. Really smart they did that. So, yep, I don't know who's writing and fact-checking these things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, the Exorcist going up. That's an interesting one, seeing as, you know, we got that penalty to the indirect fire. So, you know, slapping that penalty onto it as well as giving it an increase, it's kind of interesting. And I don't really think you got a buff in the Codex. Yeah, this is definitely something you're going to have to, you know, keep moving forward. Like, it's definitely going to have to be more mobile. It's not just going to sit there and shoot from where it can't see anyone. So, it's, like I said, like we said with the commentary on it, it's probably for the best. So, I still don't feel the Exorcist is where it should be at. It should have got a strength increase, but, you know, we'll wait and see what happens. Then we got Custodes here. The Gravitech went down like 10 points. I mean, that's fair enough. It only had one real weapon, so it did, you know, it's not really pulling its weight, you know, if that matters. So we'll wait and see. I've still got to play Custodes tanks, so we'll wait and see how that goes. So Mechanicus here. Pretty big changes here, as you can see. So So before, when I played my Admech army, to fill out the points, I had to ally in an armiger. Now I do not have to. Everything's gone up pretty high. So the Dune Crawler, 160 there, used to be 130. So everything's got a pretty serious update in points, and sort of rightfully so, because everything's so much more accurate now. Like I said, you can pretty easily have these guys hitting on 3s, if not 2s, in a lot of situation. So yeah, having their accuracy and the more balance to their weapons, like I said, these are a lot more strong now. Yeah, the Disintegrator, Dune Rider, they're all good now. So definitely gonna have to try out that army again, see if we can really get it going, because I think it is going to do a lot better than it did, seeing as we only won one game in that whole tournament, and it was only just. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out the Adeptus Mechanicus again. Eldari, nothing really changed. Let's keep moving. Yeah, so luckily we see an actual decrease in points for Basilisk, Manticore, the Death Strike. So they got a bit of a refund for not being that good anymore, so that's fair enough. The Rogue Dawn went down about 20 points. I don't know why. I mean, the Rogue Dawn is definitely a good tank. It's definitely powerful. It's just more... It's more focused on being able to do a lot of things rather than just one thing really well. It's not exactly anti-large, it's not exactly anti-infantry, it's trying to, do everything. It's trying to fill that medium role in between a small tank and a very large tank. So, yeah, it's probably worth the point decrease. What really needs to get the point decrease is the command tank, but, we'll wait and see what happens when they get a codex and see what happens. So, pretty good for your guard. I think that's going to be all right. Now, Chaos Space Marines is an interesting one. Everything sort of went up 10 points or so. Venom Crawlers up, Annihilators, Vindicators up 10. And it's weird because the Space Marines equivalents didn't. So Chaos is more expensive for some reason. Is it just because you can get lethal wounds? I mean, you can get advancements, based on your what you've chosen detachment pretty easily. Like, it's not impossible to get these guys buffed up to sort of the same level as your Chaos ones. So I'm not sure why these guys earned like an extra 10 points over the regular Space Marines. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess maybe it's because they have the whatchamacallit, the blast weapon. That's not really that much better than a Stormbolter. So very interesting. Venom Crawlers are very strong, so that's all right. So yeah, interesting news for the Chaos Space Marines. So with Death Guard, the Blight Haulers are going down 10 points apiece, and these are one of the best tank hunters in the game, because even though they got multi-melters, the +1 to wound, that makes all the difference. So being able to sort of mass Blight Haulers onto the field again, that's scary. So yeah, that's very interesting how they've done that. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's a good day for tank hunters. Alright, so looking at our Space Marines. So as you can see, a lot of stuff just got a bit of an increase. The Reaper there, 10 points, 10 points. Pretty much all the Gladiators are on the same point cost now. The Valiant is still the most pointless one in the game. I would never bring that. Bring a Lancer over a Valiant. So now it makes even less sense to bring one because it's the same price as a Lancer. So, don't worry about him. Reaper, that's fair. It's got 12 shots that can do devastating wounds with the rerolls to hit the Twin Links. So yeah, Reaper, that will destroy almost any infantry blob. And especially because they're pushing a lot more infantry game this sort of edition. So people are going to be bringing more Reapers and big anti-infantry sort of vehicles. So that's pretty good. The Crusader got an actual decrease in this, but On the same line, it's not that great. Just the twin heavy, the twin Hurricane Bolt is, yeah, definitely not the best at mulching infantry, even though that's their job. Don't rely on the Crusader. However, the Redeemer, that went up about 20 points, and that is fair because the flamer they have, the two flamers they have, the best flamers in the game. So definitely worth it. Yeah, we've had cases where the Redeemer was able to overwatch and wipe out whole squads of Space Marines pretty effectively. So a Redeemer is definitely worth its cost. So with that in mind, the Repulsor also went down as well. I'm not exactly sure why, but you know, fair enough, I guess. Oh, I forgot to actually mention the changes to the Ironstorm rule. Now, if you remember my two other reports with Space Marines, the one where I won the big competition, I won pretty good with that, with the Space Marines, taking Ironstorm. So yeah, Master of the Machine War and the Augury Web, they've gone down by 10 points because they've switched from being an aura to just choose one vehicle, which is quite fair. Having the blob of Vindicators with the lethal hits, I just put one behind it, and that was pretty gross. So fair enough. So these abilities to pull back and shoot, advance and shoot, and it was pretty obscene. You could just make a massive Doomstar, Death Star that is, with supported by the Ironstorm enhancements. So this is fair. This is more balanced. Brings things more in line. So yeah, definitely worth it. So for our Tau, you can see the Hammerhead went up just some points. Fair enough. Like I said, I think the Hammerhead's pretty great. Everything else, same. So yeah, I guess people really aren't focusing that much on the tanks for the Tau. They're mostly going into the battle suits, trying to encourage people to bring them. So yeah, that's about it for this one. Not a lot of, it's not really going to affect how you were bringing your army. Like, I think a lot of people are they're not going to just change what they were bringing, aside from maybe less artillery. I think that's taken the biggest hit. I don't think sort of vehicles are going to change much. Like I said, it is different how you're going to have to play them. You're going to have to think more when you're moving your vehicles. But overall, I think these things are a good thing. Admech might finally be playable again. We'll wait and see. I'll definitely try it out. But yeah, bringing the fairness down for like Space Marines, making the guard tanks more thematic of how they work. I think these are all pretty good changes. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoy these changes, if it's hurt your army, if you're going to have to burn some models and throw your books in the garbage, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.